Boom. I'm leading the show. Boom. Perfect.
Boom, bro.
Boom.
On a freaking roll. Man, these fans got good questions, bro.
They do have good questions. I was actually very surprised
I'm shocked.
by the quality of these questions.
Okay, so boom. Will all first relationships fail? That's tough. That's tough.
Will all first relationships fail?
Every last one of them.
Honestly, I want to say yes, but there's those love stories where it's like love at first sight. I met freaking Tiffany and we're married with a beautiful family, 5 kids.
And Tiffany never, they never went out there. They never saw anybody else except for the one that they laid eyes
But like
on.
for me, an experience, mine failed. My first relationship failed because we don't know what we're doing. And it's like, does your first, are you going to pass your first, the first time you've ever done one thing? Usually it's a failure. But sometimes when you do something one time, it's, it hits off.
Yeah.
And so I would say like,
probably going to fail.
yeah, it's probably going to fail. Like you're probably not going to do very well with it.
I'm sorry. If you're asking this from a standpoint of you're in your first relationship, I'm going to say this, right? I'm just going to play the numbers game right now. I don't know a single person in my catalog right now. I do not know a single person who has stayed with the first person that they've ever been with.
They've jumped back though. That's the one thing that I've seen.
Sometimes they do jump
I've
back.
even done that. So the first relationship, you leave, then you jump back, then you leave again. But this time it's like a little different, and then you jump back.
It's a lot. It's very a lot different. It's very a lot of different.
But that's such a hard question because it's like, should you? I don't think you should actually hit off. I don't
think the first one, because here's the thing, right? The first one is doomed to fail because you don't know who you are yet.
Yeah, and you don't know what you're looking for. I had somebody tell me that sometimes you think you know who you want, but you don't.
Not at all.
And I was like, no, there's no way. I want this kind of person and I want this and this. But once you have that, it's not what you actually want.
The reason why it fails, and even knowing who you want and don't, boils down to how much you know about yourself, right? If you don't know yourself, you don't know who you want. You might think you know what you want until you go to Dubai and be like, oh, snap. Well, I guess I liked white women. Turns out. Basically what I'm saying is, a lot of the times you don't know who you are. I think that another reason why firsts will probably always fail in 2021 and beyond, and it's only going to get worse, is because of options. Options on options on options. Back in like 1862.
Yeah, you're right, dude. There's so many options. It's hard to be 100% when you have 100 different options.
Dude, right from the gate, and I really feel bad for young people coming up, right? Because when I was coming up, I didn't know what was happening in other schools. Like maybe I had like 2 or 3 friends from another school, but then you go to their high school and you're like, oh my God, bro.
Yeah.
These girls are on a whole different level, right?
Yeah.
And now you go back to your high school like, this is whack.
It's very difficult.
But now you're always immersed in what everybody else got going on. So it just makes you being solidified in your first choice even that much more difficult. I think that the first will always be doomed to fail. And like I said, back in the day.
So, but is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think that it's both, because in an ideal world, I do think that the perfect solution for insecurities, infidelity, all that other nonsense is to just be with one person, because then, there's no trickery, there's no buffoonery, you grow with that person. But a lot of the times people just don't want to just straight up deal with the hard tasking it is to grow with a person. Like, oh, you're changing? Well, let me change with you. Let me figure out who you are now. Now people are like, I got options, bro. I'm outie.
I would say if you can find out that there's somebody that you actually want to be with, and if you feel like their good qualities are something that you would want to live with, then I would say it's worth it. It's worth the effort to put in. But it's also definitely okay to jump out. It's okay to just split up, leave, and get some breathing room, because if it's meant to happen, it's going to happen.
Yeah. Just when you get back together, don't talk about anything. Whatever you did,
True.
don't talk about it.
Yeah, true.
Because that's just going to...
All the bad, just it's gone. And you got to keep moving forward.
Terrible. Okay. So there was another one. Okay.
So we had another one?
Yeah. This one's pretty good, actually. Okay, so boom. Have you ever caught yourself or friends acting blacker or black around your black friends? Okay.
That's funny. That's
so this one is actually a really good one, right? This is a really good one. Now, so basically, like a little background about me. I grew up in between New York City and upstate New York. Okay. A lot of my friends either were from upstate New York or New York City. So what ends up happening is I have like a split consciousness where like when I go back to New York City, my New York City turns up. Like
you're like
extreme.
really, really New York.
Yes. Like I turn it all the way up. And I'm just like, I feel rejuvenated, like I'm back in my element, right? But then I ask myself, like, am I being phony? Like, what is wrong with me, right? Or the fact that I grew up in an immigrant family, right? I grew up in an immigrant family, so at home,
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, my mom's from the Dominican Republic. So when I was home, right, I would you know, my family spoke Spanish and whatever, and I was very like Dominican in my household.
And you would mold yourself to that.
But then like I'm trying to also be cool with like American culture, you know what I'm saying? I'm flirting with both.
So I've done the same thing. Like when I have you know, people, or you know, I have people that are black, or they're the cool people. They come over and we're hanging out. I change slightly.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, where I like notice it.
And you don't even realize it until it's like maybe even after the fact.
And somebody commented on it. They're like, so like
somebody called you out, bro?
No, so like when I'm like that statement, when they're like, have you been acting more black? It's funny because my when I act more black, it's more kind of New Yorkish a little bit. It's a little more, have like a little more of that, you know.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
right. And so
one
I didn't even notice it, but I was with this certain group and somebody said, you could really have a New York accent.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what? And I didn't pick up on it, but I think they picked up on it. So I definitely do think that I changed a little bit.
Yeah. Did it make you feel self-conscious a bit?
Dude, honestly, I did a lot of personal reflection after that. I was like, dude, am I changing because of who I'm around? I didn't even know.
I knew who I was.
Yeah, I thought I knew who I was, and I had to just kind of sit there and be like, dude, is this really? And but yes, I have done that. I have done that.
I think more people have done that. Whether it's on accident or unconscious, like.
But mine's like totally accident, and I don't even think it's bad.
And that's a genuine.
Like
thing.
I don't even think about I'm having a different accent. Like I don't even know that. But sometimes just because
just
I'm around,
it out of you.
It's like people notice it, but I don't, and it's just bringing it out of me. It's not like I'm trying to do it. It just starts to come out, you know.
Yeah, for me, like I'm a bad New Yorker, bro. I know I'm a bad New Yorker because to me, in my ear, I don't even sound like I'm from New York. You know what I'm saying? When I come to my city, I don't want static with anybody. I'm very quiet.
I could definitely see you in New York, dude. I think that.
You think so?
Yeah, dude,
well, thank you.
I looks like you would fit in perfectly.
See, the thing is, I'm so self-conscious about the fact that like I didn't fully grow up in New York. It really irks me because
so bad.
because it's like sometimes.
So how long were you in New York? Like,
so like I left. Here's the thing. I spent most of like my childhood in New York City, but then I spent like summers in upstate New York. But then I spent a lot of my high school formative years also in upstate New York. But
dude, that's enough. That's perfect.
But the upstate New York that I was at was like a mixture of New York City and upstate New York. So it was still flirting on the you know. And you know, when it came down to it, a big thing that helped me get over it was the fact that, you know, it's okay, bro. Like you are changing, and yes, like you're New York, like you're from New York. I was born out of Mount Sinai. Like I'm from New York, but the thing is, I'm growing too, and that's totally okay. Like now when I go home, am I necessarily like everybody else? No, but that's because I traveled around. But am I guilty when I go back to New York of turning it up?
You go right into it. Yeah, yeah.
I'm turning it up.
That's and honestly, I don't have any problem with that. The thing that I do have a problem with is when people try to act cooler when they try to act badder, when they're really not.
My only issue that I had, now mind you, the person who asked this question, you were very genuine and I knew exactly what you were talking about.
I feel like I know what he's talking about.
But I also don't like the term acting black or acting blacker, because what is acting like anything?
You're right.
Like,
you're right.
You know, your race is your DNA.
Yeah,
race and culture is
fitting into where your environment.
Right.
And it's like, if you're gonna be with a bunch of construction workers, right after you got done talking with a bunch of doctors, you're gonna have a more of like a casual, more candid talking rather than with your doctor, and that's totally fine.
Yeah. What I'm talking about though is attributing a speech or certain attributes with a race that have nothing to do with each other. So for instance, if somebody is speaking proper, like quote unquote, good English, whatever that means, right? Maybe their vocabulary is top notch or whatever, right? So now all of a sudden you're attributing that speech to a race, say for instance, white
being more white.
Now
exactly.
Whites have a monopoly on good vocabulary.
Exactly,
you
dude.
see what I'm
and
saying?
then once you do, you're like, dude, why are you acting more white now? It's
and
like,
then that leads to comments like, you really shocked me by the way you spoke. Well, what does that mean? I don't know. I just didn't expect you to sound like that. That is like, to me, there's two forms of racism. There's like racism that is like low key, like very cynical, like not cynical, but kind of like incognito. And then there's blatant racism. Like, oh God, he's racist. Like you know your enemy, right? Saying things like, I didn't expect you to sound like that, or whatever the case may be. Or you sound black, or you sound white. To me, those are phrases that need to be kicked off to the side. And I get why people think that way, but also we need to separate what's culture from what is race. Like, I'm not only a bad New Yorker, I'm a bad Dominican, bro. Like my culture, if you were to meet me, I don't resemble Dominican culture by any means. On top of the fact I don't even look it, right? Does that change how I feel about my race and my culture? No. But I'm not gonna go out of my way to, assimilate a culture that I'm not like completely jiving with. I could be anybody. I could assimilate any culture because I grow. You know what I'm saying? So don't be afraid to get outside of your box as long as you're being genuine with yourself. Because I hate when people turn into a completely different person around other people, because then it makes me not trust you. Like, it's an indicator that you don't really have grounding in yourself, and it makes me uncomfortable to be around you. Like, if I brought you around my friends from New York and all of a sudden you went from like Hunter to like Big G, Big H out here.
Big H, H-Dog.
You were just like sipping 40s and freaking throwing dice. I'd be like, who the hell is this guy?
I appreciate, so I'm just gonna sum it up how I feel. I appreciate when people alter a little bit to be more similar. There's something that's respectful and kind about trying to, by acknowledging the environment that you're from. If they're speaking proper, then cut back on your poor language, cut back on your slang a little bit. Be respectful to them. If you're in a site where it's okay to be a little bit more vulgar, whatever it is, not vulgar, but just more candid and natural, then do that as well. But
there's a limit.
But there's a limit.
There definitely is a limit.
Until it's the point where you're trying to fit in the sense that like you're afraid of not being, you're actually like doing it because of a weakness. Then that's where I don't.
You're afraid and ashamed of being you, and you're
yes,
trying to
exactly.
You're simping to other cultures because you're just trying to survive.
Yes, when it becomes I'm afraid to be me, that I'll look bad. Then you have to gauge that. Am I trying to be nice to these people by being a little more like them, or I'm afraid of being myself?
And how do you address that? Right? Like, if you notice it happening, bro, like, do you say something to that? Because I've seen it happen before, and I'm gonna be honest, I never said anything about it because to me, I was so embarrassed when I went through my mind and I thought about how
you don't need to say anything about it. Once you have to identify the same way that you've identified in yourself. If you think that they're changing their attitude,
leave them to find it.
Well, here's the cool thing. If you know that they're changing and you sense that it's because they're afraid to be themselves, like all of a sudden they start acting a lot cooler. Saying stories that they never used to talk about. Now they're always talking about them like as if they happen all the time.
Right.
If you notice then you notice that they're afraid to be themselves. But if you notice they're changing just enough to be respectful, you notice that they're actually just a respectful person.
Right. But what I'm saying is that would you confront somebody if they were changing and being fake around somebody else?
No,
you wouldn't, right?
No way.
Because it's super cringy, right?
Yeah.
Super cringy. I know. For me, I say that that's a personal problem.
Yeah.
If I were to call somebody out on it, I'd do it like the day after and be like, hey, bro, like, I think you're being kind of fake. I feel like you were being fake yesterday. I don't know what the hell that was about. Right.
Honestly, I don't even think you need to bring it up.
Don't even bring it up?
No, because you don't want to, you don't really want to even, you don't want to just bring that stuff up.
I don't know, man. I hope it never happens again in my life. Like, I hope that I never have to, like, could be in that environment to begin with. But knowing that I've done it around my fellow New Yorkers, I would probably just have that open and honest discussion because I don't think I could live with it again.
We're doing a survey around the country on the way population handles themselves and speaks and deals with their friends and interact with their peers.